Chairman Evans and staff, I am happy for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Elissa Silverman, and I work for the DC Fiscal Policy Institute. First, Chairman Evans, I want to address the short public notice of this hearing. DC Council rules state that a hearing requires 15 days notice. The notice for today's hearing was filed with the DC Council's Office of the Secretary March 2nd, only 6 days ago, and published in the DC Register Friday. I echo the sentiments of many for you to recess this hearing so proper notice can be given and all members of the public may be given the chance to speak on this issue. I'm going to focus my testimony on 3 points. Actually, first, I want to address the stacks of studies that you mentioned that say that this is not a good idea. And I would challenge you to find one study that would say it's a good idea. Because the research based on empirical data does not, let me repeat, does not conclude that economic tax incentives, such as property tax abatements, lead to jobs. Also, research suggests that businesses do not make locational decisions based on these incentives. But let me add a final point. Research does conclude that public services drive locational decisions for businesses, and that tax incentives taking away money in the budget from schools and infrastructure might actually hurt job creation. I think the prior panel discussed Stephen Pearlstein's column, March 3rd column, titled "A Wrong-Headed Race for Northrup Grumman's Headquarters." Let me just repeat something that Pearlstein said in the article. Never mind that virtually every credible study finds that taxpayer subsidies to chase after corporate location rarely pays off. And I do want to, I brought some of those studies with me today, Mr. Evans, and in fact, since you emphasized this point, I just want to read from one of them right away. This is from a study, Rethinking Growth Strategies, How State and Local Taxes and Services Affect Economic Development. I'm reading from Chapter 7, Conclusion. And I quote, "Studies that examine why firms locate where they do show that state and local taxes play only a minor role in investment decisions, and that lower taxes fail to generate a significant number of new jobs. State and local tax incentives do not work because state and local taxes are not a significant cost of doing business. Northrop Grumman made $1.7 or $1.9 billion last year. So the $25 million is sort of a drop in the bucket to them. State and local tax incentives do not work because state and local taxes are not a significant cost of doing business and do not substantially affect profits. Nor are state and local taxes the only or the most important determinant of a state's...
You're 30 seconds over.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, let me sum up.
Just tell me how you think.
Okay. Well, but I'm proving to you that there are stacks of studies that say that this
for the next 20 hours and you wouldn't prove that to me. But just tell me what you.
Well, and then what you're saying, Mr. Evans, is that you don't base public policy decisions based on research.
No,
right.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are a lot of studies to the contrary. But let's.
There aren't. I challenge you to find one study to the contrary.
The challenge is taken. So finish your testimony. You're now way over.
Okay, I'll speed up.
No. You only have like 10 seconds to finish up because you don't want to be the only person at the hearing who's gone way over. Everybody else has been within their time.
Okay. Well, I included the other studies addressing the other points, which are that businesses do not make vocational decisions based on tax incentives.
Okay, why don't you finish up and I'll ask you a question so that we can get to this gentleman and then we'll do that. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Elissa, let me ask you the fundamental premise of the discussion in one way is we have no corporations in the District of Columbia. Is it your position that you do not want corporations in the District of Columbia?
It's not my position at all, Mr. Evans.
Okay, let me follow up question. If then one has to offer incentives to get them here because clearly they don't come here by not offering incentives because otherwise they'd be here. is it your position that you would never offer incentives to get corporations to the district?
Mr. Evans, I like to base public policy decisions based on sound research. And the research says that companies make locational decisions based on public assets, schools, public infrastructure, and other public expenditures. And what I would argue in this case is that in the competition, corporations, the research says that corporations really don't value taxes that much. They value these other things, and that would be why we have no corporations in the district.
Okay. But as you know, we are pouring enormous resources into those areas. Right now in our school system at $1.6 billion, it's the largest amount of money spent on a system our size.
And I would say that's a good expense.
And in infrastructure, the same. I mean, it's billions of dollars is going into the infrastructure. So, having said that, the corporations still are not coming here. Now, maybe it's a 20-year project. And so, is your position then, you didn't answer my question, that you would not offer incentives, financial incentives to corporations to get them into the city, period?
My position is that the research, extensive research, shows that
so you're not going to answer the
incentives do not lure businesses.
Let the record reflect that we just won't answer the question.
No, I'm answering your question. I'll just, because I like to base my DCFPI is a research organization. We base public policy decisions based on research. You make that face, Mr. Evans, but I can present you, I only gave 3 studies. I could give you like 50 studies, 100 studies, but I would ask you to give me one study that would say that these incentives actually work. They do not. And most have negative results. If you look at Terry Buss of Suffolk University, it's in my comments here.
You're citing your studies, and that's important to do that, but there are studies on the other side. But again, my question to you is, would you support a financial incentive to get a corporation here? And the answer I assume is no.
The research doesn't support it.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Oh, but Mr. Evans, I'd like to echo one other point made here about the subcontractors. You made a point about subcontractors. I looked up the numbers of Northrup Grumman's hiring in the area. You know, I just think for the record that we should say that they have 30,000 employees in Virginia, 10,000 in Maryland, and 600 in the district. And they're going to bring 200 people with them. So where are these subcontractors going to go?
300.
Well, I think in the legislation it says only 200.
Okay. Well, you know better than I.
Yes, well, I read the legislation.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask one other question?
Well, what I don't want to